welcome everyone to the 34th Health Teaching Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Tuesday, June 16th, 2015, and it's the 34th Health Teaching Workshop. And we're going to start with the promotional video of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Go ahead with that, Vince.
Where does humanity go from here? What have we tried to do? What if there is more, much more? The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce a new way to bring humanity forward through technology that brings humanity in line with the natural operation of the planet and universe itself. The new science and technology discovered and developed by the nuclear engineer Moran Keshe centers upon the use and control of magnetical gravitational fields. This new body of knowledge opens the road to hundreds of potential applications, which offer solutions to most of the fundamental problems of the world, such as water, food, environmental contamination, and shortages of energy. The Keshe Foundation is proud to unveil the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Nestled amidst the beautiful shores of Bari, Italy, the Institute is poised to become a central hub in the spreading of plasma technology and knowledge. With its state-of-the-art 21st century facilities, the Institute will be able to provide students and staff an immersive way to learn the plasma technology, to be the leaders of the new generation of scientists and plasma engineers. The Keshe Foundation has opened the door to the world for peaceful usage of technology that is independent of the limited resources that are available on Earth. This is an understanding of how everything works together in harmony in our universe, and it applies to everything from the smallest to the biggest, from atoms to galaxies. We all are able to collectively work together in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and solutions for our society. This learning environment is new to the world, where there will be no test to confirm your understanding. The knowledge of everyone will be respected and allowed to flourish in a nurturing environment. Hands-on testing and experimenting will be widely used in conjunction with roundtable discussions to bring all opinions and knowledge forward. Students will be introduced to a change in the ethos of working in collaboration. Students will experience firsthand how we share knowledge in a free and open manner. Graduating students are expected to share the knowledge they gain from the university within their respective communities and nations. All formal teachings, lectures, and presentations will be in the English language, with technology available for immediate translation. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be offering 3-year executive master programs for undergraduate degree students and 1-year executive master programs for graduate degree students in the following fields: space transportation, new plasma technology, health, agriculture, materials, energy. The health section is designed to make students able to live in space without the need to return to Earth. To this end, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute has found processes for many diseases including ALS, cancer, coma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will offer online teaching courses which will enable anyone, anywhere around the world to enroll and increase their knowledge and understanding. Students will have the opportunity to direct their work towards commercial spin-offs and seek funding through the help of the Keshe Foundation. The access to the new science and new technologies is openly available for peaceful use to the benefit of mankind to make a better world today. Now you can be part of the changing world and the new knowledge. All commercial spin-offs are intended to be open source and patent-free. This is part of the core ethos of the Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will have its official inauguration on April 21st, 2015, with courses commencing soon after on May 4th, 2015. The students of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be the leaders of the future who will make changes in all areas of space technology, science, medicine, agriculture, and energy. Anyone is able to apply, but acceptance is through invitation only. No prerequisites are required. We will be accepting approximately 250 students for the 3-year Executive Master's Program and 120 students for the 1-year Executive Master's Program. We welcome humanity's participation in the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Where does humanity go from here? That is up to you. Apply today.
Okay, that was the promotional video for the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And now we'll move into the main part of the health teaching workshop. And I'm not sure what the topic is today, Mr. Keshe. Can you enlighten us as to any specifics on today's health teaching?
Am I live?
Yes, we can hear you now.
You can hear me, yes. Good afternoon, good day to you. As usual, whenever and what time you listen to this workshop. This is the 34th health workshop. I have had some nice responses about the last workshop from some people who suffer from the discrimination of what we call Alzheimer's by society. And to that effect, we promised and we keep our promise open. The Keshe Foundation today, we are uploading it as we speak, releasing for the first time its workshop on its YouTube channel that not only is available through the Keshe Foundation sessions, the diabolical condition created for schizophrenic and what we call nymphomaniacs has to be known openly by public. And for this reason, we release for the first time our workshop on a public channel like YouTube of the Keshe Foundation. This is important as we're trying to open the door to new understanding of new conditions with respect to what we call them in the old time, by misunderstanding the knowledge. Not comprehending has caused us and a large number of people who live in this life of what we call a schizophrenic a lot of problems. And this way, we might be able to help a few or give a hand to some to understand the condition and be able to bring this isolated group into the universal community of human race. We have isolated some of the most intelligent people to our own lack of understanding, and maybe it's the time to bring them into the society, to bring them in line with where they actually deserve to be. I've received emails and texts from the people saying, thank you for freeing us from this jail. Thank you for allowing others to understand what we suffer with, and they don't understand. Maybe now we gain respect for ourselves as a human race in not believing in what we've been told in respect to this condition, but understanding it that we can change the society. As I said, peace does not come with stopping the armies. Peace starts at home, and one of the problems with the peace is understanding the structure of our own physicality, and the misunderstanding of the structure has led to isolation and what I call crucifixion of these group of human beings which or whom have lived or live with this birth condition. 2 people, 3 people, 3 intelligent, highly intelligent people in one body, what we call the schizophrenic, or what I call the nice people. What I call, when I said is NPs is truly is an asset to human race if we bring them in and join them in our society. As I said, within the next hour or so, if you go on the Keshe Foundation YouTube, on the Alzheimer's, on the schizophrenic or nymphomaniac, you should be able to reach this point and be able to pass it on to the societies and groups who are people who are looking for this condition. If we manage to help one person through this video released by YouTube, as I always say, we have served our purpose. And the other point of discussion today, as we said last week, we tried to bring it in line, is the application of the Keshe Foundation health systems. We have talked about everything, how we do, how we see the function of the body of the man. In number of sessions, we've gone through step by step every inch of the body of the man, every organ, and in some cases, what we call the present knowledge available on the edge of science was explained how physically present doctors and medical people see the structure of the physicality. And we have explained how the physicality is not the only system which the doctors have to look for. Every disease in every shape or form, except unless it's an accident or a breakage or something in that kind of order, has some emotional and psychological point. Even breaking a bone can heal different way if you understand the emotion causes for the body, for the physicality. For years, I have developed technologies, I have developed systems, I have tested systems in conjunction with people who wanted to be volunteers to be tested on. They have paid as donation to the foundation, and we have tested. We are the only organization, more or less, that every volunteer, we had agreement, signed agreement, that they know what they do, what it is, what is involved, and what they are asking us to do for them, not us doing it for them because we found them. So, whatever case we have developed, we have signed agreements, and the agreements is mutual with what non-disclosure of not knowing the technology and not disclosing the outcome of the result. So today, for the first time, I tried to open one of these systems that you can physically see what it is, what it entails, what it does, how it works, the science behind it, and the technology behind these simple systems, which are effective to the point of reversal of diseases. In the morning session today, I tried to explain, to touch from the fundamental basics of the health aspects of the technology, how they work. For you to see a system suddenly, it'll be very, most probably shocking that such a system can be made in such a simple way. But some of this system takes days to design, 6 days, takes up to a week, 2 weeks sometimes to design, to develop, to make, and to make sure they deliver their function. Majority of the systems work, and where we have seen them not working is usually when the system does not match to the wishes of the user. And this doesn't matter what they say, in reality the system works through emotion and physicality. What this means at the present, more or less what I say this afternoon is repeat a part of what we said this morning. But for public who are not here in the teaching sessions, to understand it, is important to understand the totality of the science. In the world of plasma, we talk about the existence of 2 plasmas. two plasmas both produce magnetical, which means repulsion, and at one point, what is magnetical to another becomes gravitational to other because it gets pulled in. Somewhere up to this point is magnetical to this, and from this point on is gravitational to this. At the same time, the fields from this plasma do the same. They are magnetical, they're going away, and they become gravitational to this point. So what we see is interaction of two plasmas, where plasmas are magnetic field, gravitational field expansion. So what it is, if this is a plasma, a certain field strength, this plasma interacts not only with one, but with number of other plasmas. So it's not individuality we're looking for. The outcome of this interaction is the one which is stronger dictates the position and the condition of the weaker. So if number one is the stronger, dictates the position and how number two can manifest itself. So if this is the proton, and this is the electron, the proton dictates the condition of electron. How it shows itself, where it shows itself, the position it shows itself, and more or less the speed which it can travel. In this process, it's very easy to change this to the carbon to hydrogen, carbon or an oxygen to a carbon, because oxygen is more powerful. The more powerful element dictates the position of the weaker. But if you go on the other side, it's the same with the soul of the man and the physicality of the man. It's the soul which is more powerful, dictates the position, the behavior, and the outcome of the physicality. If you understand this process, if you understand the structure of the plasma, then you decide two ways of operation. You touch the soul, through it you change the physicality, or you make a system which allows the physicality to decide in respect to the position of the soul how it wants to behave. On the other hand, if you look at the structure of how physicality dictates the soul, it's very much like the space reactors, star formation. The interaction of the three base reactor creates its own free plasma. And by introducing the fourth one, the interaction of the total dictates the totality interaction of the whole system, which in fact, if you understand, then it becomes the totality of one in respect to the other. The red is the behavior, or if I make this blue, then you can understand it easier. The red, through physical interaction, dictates the condition of the physicality, and by introducing the fourth system, we dictate the interaction or production, what we call the soul. Is there a problem? It's hot. You're getting too excited. Better? So, now the interaction of the fields of the reactors dictates the strength and the position of the free plasma. In physicality, these are the physical part. These are the body of the man. The green lines are the emotion. And the interaction of the emotions in totality gives the soul of the man. So, physicality through emotion dictates the position of the soul, the strength of the soul, and what soul stands for what physicality does. So, for you to be able to control the tool physicality, it's easier to handle the soul, what controls the emotions, and through it you control the physicality. In the present world of medicine, in the present world of pharmaceutical, they only deal with one thing and one thing, the physicality. Because the world of science today has not understood that through physicality and emotion, you touch the soul. What has been made exclusive is that this has been made for the doctors of the soul, what are called the priests. And two people working in two different directions for serving the soul, and the physician serves the physicality. But if you understand the work of the soul, the physical doctors, the physical present medicine, if creates a condition, excuse me, can you keep it a bit slower, please? If you keep the condition and understand the work of physicality through the operation of the soul, then the world of medicine will make tablets, injections, or whatever, which not works only on physicality, but touches emotion, and through emotion, you touch the soul. At the moment we do this, tablets, operations, we do psychological drugs to touch, to control emotion, which in fact only controls the physicality. With a new understanding of the plasma, understanding of interaction of magnetical and gravitational field, life is much easier. Because your system automatically, if you look at the cores of your reactors, if you look at the core of the dynamic GANS reactors, because the body of the man is in a GANS state and not in a matter state, then you understand it's easy, now that we know we are not dealing with matter, but we deal with the GANS, which is gases in the nano state of interaction. It's easier to interact with the non-dimensional free plasma than the hard physicality of cell by cell, organ by organ. So what we do in our plasma reactors, we start and we try to replicate the operation of the body of the man. Then we don't deal with the physical man. We deal with the essence of the creation of the man. The present world of medicine considers man made of matters, which is carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, whatever you want to call it. In the world of plasma, we consider man to be a plasma in a GANs state, which means it does not interact as we see in a matter state by electronic bonds or whatever, but through the interaction of the plasmas. And this is fundamental. And this is the difference between the old medicine, health, or biology, and the new understanding of the body of the man. In our body, we don't carry iron in an iron matter state. We carry iron in a plasma, in a GANs state, as a magnetic field of iron. And we get the benefit of it in that way. But when we take the matter out of the body of the man, then in atmospheric condition, then you see iron, because it's a matter state of the same plasma. For those who don't understand the difference, is that in the body of the man, we deal in a total vacuum condition, where outside is matter state condition, atmospheric condition. Body of a man is one of the most perfect vacuum systems God ever created in a matter condition. We have better conditions, but this is one of the best. You work in -13, 14 in a vacuum above Earth, -12, -11 is a happy time. Because vacuum in our condition is considered in freedom of magnetic field that can move without interaction as minimum as possible, or what we call in the matter state superconductivity. Superconductivity comes out of motion of magnetic fields and not from vibration of electrons. And man has got the habit to bring the matter in the matter state and consider it as a vibration, where in the vacuum body of the man, the elements behave as a plasma, and all line of interactions are in plasmatic magnetic gravitational field with zero loss. So what happens? We have not body of a man as a matter, we have body of a man as GANs, gases in a nano state. If you go back to the previous teachings, if this was an iron, one atomic iron, will be that size. But now, GANs of the same thing is this size. That's why we have volume. If we put all the atomic matter level of our body, will not even make a cup of water. There's so little in it, less than a couple of spoons. But when you allow it to be in the GANs, it becomes the volume body of the man. Because now you deal with the size. Here, matter state, as they taught us in the schools and teachings, everything piles up. You put some iron, some oxygen, and everything else together in a pile. You see how high it'll go in a glass, because there is no interaction. When it's in a plasma condition and interacts in this way, each plasma, as we have said, and you've seen from other teaching, creates its own gravitational magnetic field and its own positioning. And that positioning is what gives volume to the body of the man as a GANs of the elements. If you go back to the previous teachings, if this is the sun and this is the earth, the gravitational magnetic field of the earth and the sun, in respect to each other, create the gap between the sun and the earth, and that's where we are positioned, where they are balanced. So the same happens in our body. We are not atoms. We are not literally dusts that have been gathered together and put together in a matter state. If you put a dust together, dust of iron, this is what you get. Not much. A powder. That's almost probably is all the iron in your body, if you put it together in a matter. When it comes into the GANs state, which means in a plasma, in a vacuum of the body, this is what you get as a GANs. The same atomic structure, has shape. The same atomic structure has a volume. And that volume gives the size, the shape of our cells, and that's what it is. The small masses, dust of iron, does not make such a huge body of a man. It doesn't matter how much water you put in it. Even the water in the body of a man is in a gaseous state, which means it has a volume. So when we talk about the present world of medicine, the present world of pharmaceutical, they all work on a matter state. All the medicines we take is in a matter state. But partially, as they enter the body of the man, they try to behave as a gas, which then the complication, the side effects. But if you can develop a system which can work in a gaseous state, you don't have any side effects, and you work directly within the structure as the structure of the physicality of the man. Gaseous state with a gas state. We did not know this state up to recent time. Now we know, we have developed technologies to understand this process, the interaction of the plasmas, the interaction of how plasmas create different conditions. We call it, they create the heart, they create the tissues of the heart, they create the brain, they create the toes, the fingers, the liver, because each one has his own gravitational magnetic field, his own strength, his own positioning. So you find the heart, the liver, the kidneys, more or less according to RNA, in a given position for majority of the same race. So now we understand this. Do we still need in a space to carry medicine, or is it easier to be able to build such a structure that as the physicality changes, we don't need to change. We just need to change the content of the matter within the reactor to create, replicate the emotion, and be able to touch the soul, to reach the soul. Because more or less, we can replicate the whole process. Now, we can develop a technology where we work through the interaction of the plasmas than matter state, where we dictate from the top to the bottom than the bottom to the top. Matter state, if you take this plasma, the matter state, for example, is at this point of the field of the plasma where the soul works at this level. It's much more powerful. It attracts, absorbs, has the power to have control over all the physicalities. In the present world of science, we do not understand the soul. So we deal with what we understand with the interaction of the fields between the soul and the physicality, what we call emotions. This is fields in motion. This is what we understand from the fields in motion, from physicality to the soul of the man. Then we can play any game you like. If you can change the structure of your reactor to have connection the same as the structure of, let's say, John, now, in the condition of the reactors, you can touch the soul of the John. Or you can allow John, whenever he touches, he decides his soul can be touched. So it's not you, but you create a system that John decides when I allow my soul through my emotions to be reached. So it's very easy. You make a cup. You make the condition of the illness in the cup where the problem is. You build your system in the cup and you give it a handle. You give it a body. It's very easy. John comes and connects himself to the cup through his blood, through his emotion line. Then what happens? You have touched not only the physicality, which is the skin and the body of the man, but through the motion of the blood, his emotion too. So you reach his soul. It's him who decides how much I want to take, what I want to take. This is my body, this is my soul. The cup is the body, the water is the soul of the man. The bread is the cup, the wine is the soul. It's where, through emotion of the cup, you transfer the knowledge to the soul of the man, you touch the soul of the man. So the soul is the byproduct of the interaction of in communication to the soul. So it's very easy. Now you need to find out, to understand, and to educate yourself in a new world of science of what I call processing your problems. We don't deal with health, we don't create medicine, we don't create a cure. All these terminologies applies only to the matter state. In the GANS process, you allow a process to develop. You create a process that you decide as the person who enters, accepts the process, to accept what he or she wants at the point of contact. You decide, when I touch the cup, I want to feel warm. When I touch the cup, I want to find a solution for my emotion, and the soul, through it, find a solution for my physicality. So you change by your own touch, by your own physicality, and through the flow of the blood, which is connected to your emotion, which runs through your finger, which creates a contact between the gravitational magnetic field of your blood, which is your emotion, with what fields are freely available for you to take from the water of the cup, to change your physicality, to change what you want to change in physicality. If you create the same cup and put another system which you only breathe air from it, here, for example, then it's very easy. Air touches the emotion of the man, not the physicality of the man. So now, with this part, you touch the emotion. With the water, you touch the physicality. And because even when you're drinking from the cup, I always say to the volunteers, don't empty the water in another cup. Drink from the cup. Because when you drink from the cup, you breathe through your nostrils the emotion while you're drinking the physicality. It's an instant interaction. You don't wait for the water. People think that the water, by getting in the stomach, it works. But as it's plasmatic, as it's in the gaseous state, the instant the water, even before touching the lips, it has transferred the energy. Water is a means of delivery and not the process. So it comes to a point how you decide to play with the plasmas to create the knowledge of the universe in a cup. This is the, what you call in Christianity, pardon? Pardon? Chalice. This is my body. This is my soul. The blood, the water, the wine you drink is the color of your blood, is your emotion. And that's a symbolic meaning that is taken totally the wrong way. The cup of life is the same fundamental understanding. But in a cup of life, the structure of the cup through different kind of nano coating or what you decide to put in it, dictates the position where you want the emotion to be delivered. You have a cancer, you have, I don't know, diabetic, you have cholesterol, you have all sorts of heart or lung problem. You dictate the position where you want to be delivered. Those of you who have used these cups, thousands of these cups have been developed over years and distributed around the world. Not hundreds, literally thousands of them. Thousands of these have been shipped. There is not a continent or more or less country around the world that somebody has not used these cups. These cups look like this. They have a handle, and they are like this. It took me years to find this cup. I looked all over the place for them. Look at the cup. You look at the cup as a cup of water. But I looked for this cup because once you take, this cup has an insert, which is like this. If you take the insert out and turn it upside down, it looks like this. Have you ever seen a nun? Have you ever seen a Muslim woman on the rope? The head, the neck, and the body. So, the shape of the cup is the shape of the body of the man. 3 dimensions. So, I decide in the process if there is a problem with the heart in a tube, in the shape of the system, where and how I need to reach. If there is a problem, if it's psychological or is it physical? How much of it through the blood I'm given is psychological and how much of it is physical? Or do I need to allow the physicality to sort itself out in respect to the emotion? So, in a way, the system works very, very freely. You have body of a man, shape of a man. Instead of carving a statue, put in a cup. And all you do, you drink from the cup upside down. In fact, the design of the cup is your head is here. These are your eyebrows. And this is your mouth. This is your neck. And then you have your arms, your shoulders, your legs, and the rest. The way you see it. Then, when I want to interact, I choose how I interact. Every time you drink, I sort your physicality first, if you want to, before I touch your emotion, which sits in this part of the container. If you've been with me for a long time, and I know your problem is more emotional than physical, I always tell you, put a straw in the container and drink from the bottom first. Because what do? This is the work of the same as your brain. The calcium comes from the top, sink in with materials and becomes part of your brain. Your physicality transfers its knowledge by you holding the cup into the touch interaction with your emotion. And as you drink the cup up, as the water sinks in, your physicality touches your emotion. Problem solved. Because the information of your physical pain is carried through your hand, through your emotion, by holding, transferred to the physicality of the water. These systems are so methodically calculated, they are so methodically created that it touches every position in your life. I can control the sexuality, sexual behavior, psychological behavior, everything which is needed, understanding where I need to create a plasma to interact. But, as I said, each cup carries millions of combinations according to what it needs to be done. So, in fact, I don't cure anything. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a plasma physicist who understands the world of the plasma in the structure of the plasma of the body, not in the matter state, but in the gas state. I transfer information according to what is needed. Where is needed, the way it is needed, and the strength is needed. Is it need to be first, afterwards, half at a time? So when I put a system together, sometimes it takes weeks to develop. People shout and help, we are waiting for our system. I cannot see how your system can be put together that I can be effective. But, as I said in the teachings of this morning, I give you the tools. I show you the method to process. It's you who decides how much you want to take from the process. Because this is a free will and not enforced matter state capsules and tablets and injections. You decide, I want a little, or I want a full recovery as fast as possible because I want to change my life. We have people, after 2 or 3 days, they change their life for good. We have people who for years could not do anything because of illness. After 2 or 3 weeks, because the wish was to change, they become active 12, 18 hours a day. As you know, one of these guys who I've changed his life through this process now is a target for the Belgian police. They want to arrest him, do whatever they like to him to get him to confess this was a lie. You know, Willie De Leo. He was sick for 15 years, and within 3 weeks he changed his life, and now he works full-time. He worked for full-time for the foundation, and now he's become a target for Mr. Lanois to be arrested. He's been threatened. He'll be put into prison. They're going to confiscate everything because he used the process that they can torture him to do whatever they like. He'll be murdered, most probably the same as me, because he's a clear evidence of it. This is part of what we stand for, the truth of the change of world of medicine and what it is. The police of Belgium, through Mr. Delanois and Hans Brackenier, head of the European Space Agency, they want to steal the technology not to come out till they can make billions out of it. New pharmaceutical through IMEC. This is where the problem sits. Simplicity of technology has changed the world of medicine. They have intimidated people to go to prison. They have all sorts of things to stop this technology to reach. So now that the science of plasma has gone far enough in our teaching, you can see how they are. Mr. Cameraman. If you've been with us, you know these reactors. These are one of the simplest who's changed hundreds of thousands of lives around the world. This is the cup. And all they do, they drink the cup. This is the body, and the water inside is what it changes. What I do over years, 30, 40 years, I have developed a system, a technology, how to create magnetic fields which gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of, let's say, the heart. Gravitational magnetic field of, let's say, the brain. Not only gravitational magnetic of the physical part of the heart, but the emotion of the part as well. And this is a breakthrough in the world of science. Because now you work on the two essence of the creation, the physicality and the emotion. Effect is immediate. Effect works as you want it. The effect is not working on your physicality. It balances the emotion which created the causes of the physicality default too. In a way, the water you drink, the air you breathe, touches the soul. And then through it, decides where the physicality is needed. This is part of the structure of the new science, part of the structure of the world of creation and not the medicine. This is understanding the structure of the work of the plasma. You can build it if you are knowledgeable enough to do it. There are people, when they see these reactors, they jump out and they think we've seen it doing this and that. Every magnet which creates the plasma in what is used as a nanomaterial behind it, and sometimes gas behind it you don't see, dictates which plasma, how the plasma, how to release, how much to release, and how to behave. So when you see these cups, don't think this is willy-nilly, it's just done. Everything is calculated, point by point. What would be the interaction as the field flows from physicality to the emotion? Then you see the change. Then you understand the process of the change. In the coming time, very soon, hopefully it will not be more than a few weeks or months, the reason why I opened the containers of the health is because they are obsolete. They're finished with. But it's a good base to build on, to understand. In the coming months and weeks, the systems will be developed and released by the foundation that you can walk into the soul section of the reactor yourself to change the physicality of it. So all I need to do is to create a constant condition of the soul, of replication of you. You walk into the room in the right position, you receive what you need, then it's your decision how you process it. That's why we call this the processing system, not the cure system, not the health system. And if you have not understood or you have not seen the similarity, welcome home. The pyramid. And central force field in the pyramid. The pyramids you have are made of matter state, structure, physicality of matter. Here, you create your pyramid out of your own structure. We did not do, we did not touch, but we create the field which touches the soul of the man, and through it, we change the physicality. Any man with any disease can walk into this and walk out alive with no diseases. If his true wish is to recover in emotion from the disease he's walking into. Because all the fields within this center, with the center of pyramid, is to give unconditionally. It's you who decides how much you want to receive, where you want to receive, the way you want to receive, to keep your soul satisfied, to keep your emotion intact. If I suddenly, you're paralyzed, make you walk, you haven't walked for years, you tear your muscles, you're dead. But if your wish is to walk in 6 months' time, then you can do. Because then you set the process for it to start, because you have reached peace with your soul. You have to understand. A lot of people say, if you can see, if you stay in the hospital, if you're in bed more than a few days, they give you a massage. If you cannot move, you have to have physiotherapy, because your muscle tightens up, your interaction of the tissues ceases up because they get glued to each other in other processes we explain, and you literally rip your muscles apart. Giving life back to a dead body is the first few hours or minutes. After that, it's literally impossible without destroying the body, tearing it apart, because it glues together. So, if you understand this, and you understood what we've done, then you can understand through the new technology of the plasma, which all of you can do now, because this plasma has a common denominator. In the past months, I have taught you in a very simple way, walking you into this position. Without you knowing, I have brought you in a very clean-cut way to where you are today. You have created 3 different gases in typical. Copper oxide, CO2, CH3. And every time you have produced any of these materials in your boxes, you have produced amino acid. So, what do we have? Where we are? Copper is the line of communication and muscle tissue of physicality. CO2 is your emotion and the bloodline to the soul. CH is the line of energy connection between the physicality and emotion to the soul. And then you created the amino acid with the physicality of the man. So when you put the 4 in a reactor, you have a base to reach not only the emotion, but the physicality of every man through a common denominator soul. Now, how can you dictate it to be you? I want to cure myself from it. You have a fingerprint, and it has to be in the shape of a gans, as you have here, the human blood. Because your blood is your fingerprint. And each one of us, one fingerprint, and only one, cannot be replicated. So now, if you put what I call the totality inside, then you have the balance to take what you want for your physicality from the system, or what you don't want the physicality from your system, or what you cannot handle with the emotion, because now you reach in every essence, true essence, the life of a man. It's physical and emotion at the same time. In the coming time, as I said, you will see, you put a blind man, if his wish is to see, he shall see. You put a paralyzed man into this condition, he will walk. You put in a man with a cancer, if his wish is for a time to change the cancer, he decides the time of the change of the cancer. Because through his soul and emotion, he controls the physicality of the tissue. You see on the board. So in a very simple system. You decide how you operate, where you operate, the way you operate, and what you touch. You want to touch the emotion, you want to touch the emotion and the soul, you want to touch the emotion, the soul, and the physicality, or you just want to touch the soul, to give to the soul without touching the physicality, till when you decide the physicality needs to be touched. So, in space, you do not need to diagnose if you're ill, and you do not need to look for a cure. What is your wish is your command. Husband and wife both falling to sleep. American time. You like some coolness? Okay. So we go this way. Anywhere, even on Earth. Not to you either. Okay. We're down. We cool your toes. No problem. I'll leave it to you to sort it. So what happens is, this is what you call the promised system, the promised life, the holy grail of creation. You put man in it, you change the amino acid to the man from planet Zeus, will have the same. You have to find the physicality, his emotion line of connection, the energy he uses for line of interaction, the physical part is amino acid, and its own private fingerprint. I cannot use the system for my son because he has a different blood. I can wish him total well, but if it's not his wish, I can only give through my soul to the soul, that when he reaches there, my soul touches him, that I feel he needs, that he can take. Because in the universe, we do not speak languages and voices and sounds. We touch, we interact with the strength of our emotion. You don't need to say to your child, I love you. You look at him, he knows, and he takes all the love he needs. Because you touch his soul, and he knows what you give is enough. The child says, Papa, I had enough. Can you let me go? It's not just the physically I give you a hug, but I'm giving you a lot of soul. Would you like it? And he says, no, I prefer to go to a disco. So, what happens? That there are more souls of my age, my understanding. They add to mine, and I give what I don't like. We only go to the places where our soul is happy and not our physicality. Where our emotion can have a line of communication with our soul without interference. So, what we show as a physical cup has manifestation, a new dimension in the body of the man, in the new system for man. New system in the space is, if you go into the patent, health patent, we say you can go to a shop and walk in with a cancer, you set the system up, the next person goes in, you go in for cancer, he's diabetic, he walks in for 5 minutes, he walks out, his diabetic is done. The pharmaceuticals from now on will not sell any tablet to you. If they understand this process, they sell you credit card health, using how many minutes you spend in a cubicle to change your emotion. That's what's going to happen. Don't laugh. This is the reality of it. Because every time you go in, the reactors are set for all humans, refilled with a pinch of your blood, your fingerprint, your problem. All it is, you can cash some money for it. Next person goes in with HIV, no problem, because the system is cleaned up. Next turn, you fill it up, you put the system through. This is not a dream. We are working in this. If you bought the health belts from the Keshe Foundation, the pain pads is physical structure of the same thing in plasma, in creating transfer of the energy through the body as a plasma which touches the soul. You feel good because you transfer energy as gravitational magnetic field out. We have tested, and this system what we use in Fukushima in a matter state to be able to solve the problem. Once you understand the principle, the rest is just replication. How and where you want to apply it. I understood this process. I apply it in this cup. Very simple. Sits in, contains in, sealed because it has to be in a vacuum condition, the same as body of the man. I create the condition. What I do, I only spend hours in how and where I'm going to put materials in what form, some GANs, some different kind of GANs, some ganses which you lot haven't even got a clue yet. You haven't got to it. You see different shape, different colors. Because now it's contained. Don't forget one fundamental principle. We go over this on Thursday, especially because somebody wrote me, what you explained in the last week teaching needs to be done by a lot of people in respect to the life on this planet. What we taught last week. And one of the things you understand is in the matter state, you are conditioned to the heat and temperature. In the gas state, is independent of heat and temperature. So I can hide gases in any shape or form, anywhere with the normal temperature, because it's just encapsulates it. I can take these gas, I know what its property is, and put it in any hot liquid, in a vapor, anything I like. It still stays in a gas state, because it does not create the flow between the electron and the proton, but it creates a flow in the plasma, direction of flow. That's the difference between the matter and the plasma in a gas state. So what I do, we go back to the teaching of last week, last Friday. You have learned about the gases, maybe 2 or 3 here. I know people like Tesla Group have developed like, what do you call it, nickel and chrome and titanium gases, the same process. That's all. The new 10 kilowatt energy system of Tesla is a development on different material as what you call nanomaterials and the gas of materials. Because at the higher level, you can store more energies in a gas material. It has a limitation. It's not that it's a new battery. It's understanding. That's why their patents cannot be patented. Their knowledge, they're just selling it. Because the knowledge of the new 10 kilowatt system is a gas material within this lining of nano, the way you see it. There's no secret in it. That's why we challenged Tesla to open their system. It's a new, heavier, instead of a copper, titanium, and other levels to create more storage in the plasma. So we see how our knowledge technology is rapidly siphoning through different organizations. This was one of the reasons Tesla opened their patent in respect to Tesla systems, because they realized it wasn't complete. It's no use hiding it because there's a next step. And this comes to where it brings you, in how the material comes together to create a condition. Most probably in next few weeks, we invite people to come to Keshe Foundation for, as we said, the cancer process. We don't give them tablets, we don't give them energy. We allow them through the process to touch themselves with their souls and the physicality at the same time. And if the true wish is to recover, it will be instantaneous. You will see men walking with a cancer Minutes later, no sign of cancer. We put doctors on both ends of the entry and exit. They confirm with everything, and in weeks they can walk out with nothing if they wished. Because we don't do. We facilitate the condition of their wish through their emotions, which interacts with their physicality. So what I do is the same. I create a condition that the water or the air they breathe, look at the handle. They have to drink it. While you drink it, you touch the soul and you touch the emotion at the same time, and you touch the physicality, all three at the same time, which means you bring in balance the interaction between the three. It's you who decide, I don't want my cancer or my diabetic to be sorted because I need a little bit more attention from my son. Because if I have no diabetic, he will not cook me food the way I like it. We consider everything in our subconscious when we consider our health. We consider everything knowingly, unknowingly, well measured to how much. And then we dictate. Then we decide. Then we do the whole process in one, what we call, cup of life. But one point, you see this comes from a case that it's, what do you call it, the most strongest magnet has literally polarized, has destroyed itself. Because the intention when you get this, the intention is to die. The man does not want to live. It separates. It literally, through his own wish, destroys the structure inside. You will see it. In time will come, you will see gaps and cracks and lines in your perfect rolling ganses in your system. Because it means I'm not ready, I'm not prepared to accept. I want to have my decision, and it's his decision, not mine. Because when he destroys this, he destroys the combination. So it means I do not want to be able to be helped. But the ganses which I use, you are used to these. And as I said in the last week teaching, what about the tree which takes potassium, calcium, and the rest from the ground and converts them into this GANs condition? As trees use GANs the same as we do, because they're animals in the vertical, and we are horizontal walkers, and they're the vertical walkers. So what happens? You need time to learn how to make these kind of ganses, because part of the structure of the man contains calcium, contains potassium, contains all sorts of minerals. You've learned not even the alphabet, and you want to go and become champion in, what do you call it, dictionary? Impossible. You have not to understand the letters, the words, but how they come, where they come, and how they associate with each other. You know that much. But what about these ganses? Because if you have a shortage of calcium, it's no use for me to give you copper oxide. You need to be able to have a condition which replicates the calcium of the bone, the calcium GANS state. And you will see all sorts of colors in these works. So just what you see is not what you think. So now you have seen the structure. But one of the problems with this is, as you have seen, a GANS, you haven't seen this, but we'll show you later on. A GANS can only be contained and controlled by magnets. There is no other way you can control a GANS, except you can control its plasmatic field by magnets. That's why I use huge amount of magnets. I've shown it to Marco and Armin. It's a field condition you can enforce You can dictate it, you can focus it, direction it in certain ways. For each material, you need different strength of the magnetic field to be able to position. It's no use creating calcium here when the bone damage is on the shoulder. You have to target it where it's needed. This is why we are successful with the cancer reversal with the, what do you call it, chemotherapy in Germany. And another one which is going on now. We are very successful. The second case is coming with such a result. I just looked at it this morning. It's amazing how the knowledge is perfected so rapidly. And it does what it says. But you have to understand what is the intention. What is set in the DNA, what is set in RNA to create a bone damage in any part of the body and what it needs to be repaired. How you do it, how you point it out, how you target it. So all these information is needed before you can even touch making a cup. Because there is a lot hidden underneath. There is a lot hidden in the structure. Every color has a meaning to me. Every piece has understanding. Every position is different. Not a single cup is ever the same. If you cut open any of these, you'll find out each container is totally structured different. Totally structured different. Not the two are the same. You see here totally a new type of GANs. A specific position. Targeted only. You never seen these kind of GANs, orange in color, but through purple. This is a mineral taken 5 years to develop. Everything, and you see the copy exactly on the top, is not coincidental. Everything has to be correctly. If it was the same, you should have seen it on the other one. These are all the containers. When they come back, I open to understand this process, what is done, what is achieved, what has been the wish of the soul, not what I made. Because it gives me a lot of information. If you look, even the shape, I decide everything to the accuracy of where I want to direct the flow. It is spectacular if you understand it. But if you go in a further cases and you open it up, then they say, oh, it's just a bunch of magnets. You do not even have got a clue what this does. This is one system opened up, containing, controlling for emotional physicality in one direction. Taken me about 2 months to produce. Every level has been measured, where it has to sit, the position is predetermined and placed. When you drink the water, then you get the essence of the water. People who think you can do it just like this, touch, you die. Very clearly. If people see and they replicate, you guarantee yourself diseases you never know. These are not for people who don't understand. It takes you at least 1,000 years to even understand the working of this. What is it? Dr. Antonio, what is he saying? Pardon? It doesn't finish. So you see, a lot of it is the head, the neck, the body, and the leg. You decide the emotions of the structure, the similarity of the structure, and you look for where you need the change and the balance. Materials, you see how they're disintegrating? Because there is no need for it. Because this is how the structure is built. It takes at least 4 or 5 days to design a simple one. But to understand how to design it, to understand how to develop it, and then they say is bunch of magnets. If you do not understand the plasma operation, that's another one. Very simple, but extremely effective. These are some of the most effective plasmas you ever see because of the physicality of the magnet. And here, you don't see any round magnet. It's all rectangular magnets, positioned in a specific way because the problem is physicality, is not psychological. It's the connection between the physicality and the psychology. And if you look, even the magnets have literally destroyed themselves. It means where it was, there was a point, it's taken a lot, and it cannot repair itself. So what you get, you see in a very, very little point, a very small amount of guns in position to do a specific job because there is a specific damage to a specific part of the structure of the physicality. So you do not need to go very far. I don't think you can open this. This is a emotional with physicality damage. I cannot open it because it's pardon? Yeah, but you don't see the bottom of this. It's not there. Yeah, because I was explaining this morning, at the bottom of each cup, there are a series of numbers. Each number is for a specific process. What I was explaining, 195, 198, 199. These are to do with the emotional systems, with connection with the physicality. And then these numbers tells me exactly what they are used for. So for the first time, we opened the science of matter state in the interaction of physicality. And there is no problem. You want cancer, you can use the cancer. But it takes time to do it. And at the beginning, we assess how long. Because when you accept a volunteer like this, they come and see you 10 times. They come and see you 20 times. They write to you 100 times. And most of the times, what you get is all nonsense information, except what you can siphon in words which they write, and then you see the process. Then you understand where the soul sits. We did a test 2 years ago between a husband and wife. I've explained this before in some other teaching. And then we changed the cup of the husband and wife. Then we changed the cup that they could both drink from both cups at the same time. And you should have seen the psychological mayhem they had in their brain and in their behavior, how the mother was generous and forgiving, and how the man could not stand using a cup, which a woman did, because he does not wear skirts. Because a woman wears skirts, I don't drink from a cup which woman drinks. But in fact, without them knowing in front of them, I just put their own cups in front of them. They were drinking from the same cup as before. Where they started from. Because they mark their cups that they don't get their cups wrong. The two in their 70s, 80s were more or less homebound. And now they could go shopping. They had the joy of life, of being able to share the joys of life. And every time they came in, oh, we are so happy. We've never been happy for so many years. Because I did not give them. I added to their soul. It's them who decided how they want to use the physicality. So, in reality, in the future, these systems are obsolete because in space, you cannot create what you call, sorry about that. They're just loading things on my computer. I was having a look. There are people working in the background on the screen. In reality, I make a process available for them to be able to reach what their wishes are no more. A father, a mother, what they wish for a child is not what the child wishes for him or herself. Some of these processes takes months because they continuously cut the line of emotion. Because if they do not cut the line of emotion, they lose the affection of the parents, the love of the mother, or attention of God knows a lover. And the whole process works only on how much we can get without giving. In fact, a lot of people who use these cups become very independent because unknowingly the cup becomes the husband, the wife, and gives all the energy. Would you like a cup as a wife? A coffee. Italians. No wife, just a coffee. Thanks God I know your wife. I said, it changes you for a coffee. So now you see how the process fits in. I said before, as we come closer to the 3 months of the peace, world peace, we start explaining in details a lot of things to open the doors for a lot of people to understand how simply they can change their position, their condition. In the coming time, very soon, we'll sell man-size walk-in systems. Just give me a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We have to be able to put the star formation in. Then we sell, it's coming up in the next day or two, you buy individual reactors. Hang one on the ceiling, hang one on the stand, put 3 on the floor or 4 in the stand. And you decide where your soul sits. Every one of you can process your own illness at home in a very simple way. You don't need these cups. That's why we show the cups. If you want to come to me and ask me to spend my time, I charge 30,000 euro for my expertise. You can go to somebody else for 10,000, you can go for somebody else. But what I charge you 30,000 goes for the work of the foundation because I work for the foundation. Allows a lot of things like running of the foundation and the rest to run. You don't pay for the cup, you pay for the time and the development of technology to spread it around the world. So in a few days' time, if, as Arman and I say, if Sohail does his job, which is, hopefully he will, Sohail, pull your finger out. If you understand the English terminology, what it means. He's continuously playing with his nose. I'm too well educated English-wise, huh? Living 29, 30 years in England. What does it mean? You buy 4 individual reactors from Keshe Foundation. You decide. We teach you step by step how to place them and place yourself in a position of the soul if your desire is to change the soul. You got a heart problem, Do you have a bone problem? Do you have a prostate problem? Hang yourself upside down from the ceiling. No, but you don't need to do that. Because if you can make a system where it sits and you can place your prostate on the table in the position of where it is, you can touch the physicality of it. But what are you going to do with the emotion which created the problem? I have a huge problem with my son. So sooner or later, I'm hitting the barrier. I know because I know my emotion. So you buy 4 systems in your house and you invite people. It's a cattle market. You got cancer, can I have a fingerprint? You buy yourself 3 or 4 CO2 kits and other kits to produce all sorts of cancers. And we saw the Chinese. Why I opened this panel? Why I opened this direction? Because the Chinese for the first time touched the application of the amino acid in the structure of the water last week. So they said, you reach a point, I open the door. So now you put your amino acid in your reactors. You have to get your distance correct. You have to get your height correct. And if it's too far from each other, you've got to wait a few weeks till the plasma is built. How many weeks did it take us? 5 weeks before we blew the fuse? About the time. It takes time to build up. You build up, and when you give the emotion, the job is done. So the medical system are in your homes. In the next 48 hours, we release, hopefully, if Sohail makes a move, individual reactors. Don't forget, you're not made of these 3 guys only. You have these with you as well. You have the others with you. So now you decide, excuse me, Vince, you're very busy on my computer. What's going on? Oh, he's updating everything. Good, I'll leave you with it. Can you load this one as well on the corner? It says sun on the corner of the screen. This one, I indicate to you. Can you load that up for me as well, please? Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'll leave it to you. Don't forget the security people in the background are watching what you do. Be careful. If they block you, I'll put my phone, especially they can tell you next to the computer. If they tell me something is playing, I have to tell them I know it's Vince. They can tell you, there it is. The phone is sitting literally next to the computer. The minute something goes, they call me and say, somebody is playing. I have to tell them, no, it's us. Because every move on my computer is monitored by national securities. So you have to see how the structure sits. You want to come to me to build the system that it hits. You don't pay me, you pay my foundation. Because then I can pay for the structure it's taken years to build. We finance a lot of things through our health, through our books and other sections. And if you come and say, I have no money, like hundreds of people, you get it free. We do the same. If you write to me and say, I want the book, I don't have money, we give it to you free. We give you access free book that you don't need to go on the internet to download it free to become a stolen goods that you pay damage with your soul. One of the top guys in Saudi Arabia, scientists who supports us very heavy, when he was a student, he couldn't afford buying a book. Now he's a doctor. I send him the books free, and it changed his life. Because as a student, he couldn't afford. In the past few days, people tell you, that students around the world write to me, we can't afford buying the books. We can't afford being a student, paying €1,000 to be online. If we assess correct, you get it freely. We just open the switch. To us, it doesn't matter how many people watch. It doesn't matter how many people read the book. But I don't want to be the cause of their crime. So we do a lot of systems free. unconditionally, because each system is assessed what it worth, the time it takes to develop 6,000, 10,000, 20,000, what it takes to do. Some systems we value at $100,000, 100,000 euros, which are very, very specific, takes up to 3 weeks to build. And each one is made by hand, one by one. Everything has to be assessed. So now you have the latest medical system on this planet. And if you understand it, if you go next to Mars and you see a Martian and he's sick, you say, would you like to come in my triangle? He will understand the same thing because he has the same system too. He knows what it is. This is a universal system. There is one step further which you're not ready to understand, to develop, but we show you in time. Because you can create a condition where you only touch the soul of the man. And that soul touch is what we offered in the World Peace Treaty. The roadmap for peace is very simple. Through my blood, I have access to every being on this planet. How would you like me to touch your soul? Would you like to be a happy man? Or would you like to be an angry man? Italian. It's all to do with chariots. I don't blame them anymore. The ones who doesn't know, I explained this morning, is living in Italy for 2.5 years, why Italians drive the same as they do. They race you to the last millimeters and they chase you and then they go out. It's just that it's the habit of their time has not changed since they were Romans. They still think a car is a chariot. They have to race it. They change the motor and the horses. That's the only difference. God knows you won't do this with my reactors in the space. Or Mercury. You can imagine an Italian going to Mars. It'll be fantastic. You're going at 100 Tesla, I'm going at 100 Tesla, 0.1. But I push you just to go out that I can be just a little bit in front, and then I'm going back to the moon. I didn't want to go to Mars. I just came to try to kill you. We can't say much. It's the way they are. We have our own faults, huh? You want me to talk about the Armenians? No. Oh, forget about those. So, now you understand how the worth of Earth changes. You can buy, keep reactors at home in the right order with the right science for each child from the time of birth. You keep a fingerprint in one reactor, a healthy child. Doesn't matter for the rest of his life. You put it in its position, always comes back to perfection. Doesn't matter what disease he picks up down the road. A flu, get in the box. It'll become very fashionable. Have you been in the pyramid yet? No, I'm going, Mama. Because the pyramid is not only in Egypt and the rest of the world, you see it. Used to be, when the man understood, was the health center for the whole community. People used to go because they could understand. On the corners of some of pyramids, there are things buried which dictates the field forces of the pyramid. They are not there anymore. When the man did wrong, it was taken away from the man. Now we give it back again. Now it's in your hand. Try. It's the last time, and it will not be repeated. So now you understand how the structure of the pyramids was built to change life, to reverse illnesses which man had no cure, because irrespective of where you are in the universe, as long as you have your original fingerprint, you go back to it. because you find balance is your wish to. That's what I said. You go to the moon, to planet Zeus, be fine, you're sick. We know all we need is to put your original blood before you left there in its position. You find the forces back. You all be carrying, very much like a life capsule, systems are your blood fingerprint plasma gans into space. Because if you absorb a new energy, a new virus you call it, a new structure, you can decide you want to keep it, but it's deadly for you. You don't want to evolve around it. You want to go back to the origin. So you can always update your blood in the interaction. Because what was the previous blood still in there. What is the new blood you want to keep, you can add to the fingerprint. Then that container carries your soul too. So the behavior of the soul is continuously kept by man. So now you understand the structure of what is coming and what literally today we put nail in the coffin of pharmaceuticals. Before we buried Monsanto, today was the red flag for people who have used the health of the man. Does not matter where you live on this planet, you can produce it. You can't find it, give us next few days, hopefully soil will work. At the end of the day, yes, maybe there is a reason for it. Don't forget how we work. I have to explain to you. We refer everything back to China, and I explain to you, the ones who understand. We do not go to manipulate the market. We find the Chinese companies who are producing this, but through us, instead of them selling few pieces, because we are the source, we create jobs in China. So we pass the business, whatever is ordered to them. Whatever is surplus left, which is a section of the foundation, comes to us, develop the universities and the rest. So it's a process we have. With our system, we allow both sides to benefit. And this structure at the moment sits in China till national sections start developing their own. We are scratching our head, what can we do, but there is no other solution at the moment. Not even the United States. No. So we deal with the Chinese. So this is the new health system. Part of this will be tested in the next few days internationally. I'll be testing this in a very specific way in the coming days, where we can control the effect on the emotion and physicality through a known structure, known system. Maybe more or less in the next 72 hours, or more or less, we start the procedure. So what we said, we start what do you call it, cancer trials. This start literally from this week, early next week. We are in the process of doing it, hopefully, if God will. And my wish is my command. So we start. You have to understand the simplicity, but the effectiveness of the structure. Because it's taken over 15 years to come to the point that some of you understand at least some of the production and the use of this. Do not go and hang yourself from the ceiling to get your soul in the right place. If your physicality is correct, if your intention is correct, the central point will come to you. You don't need to hang it and to measure yourself if it's the right height. Soul has no home but the physicality of man, in essence of nothingness. It has no tangibility. It's us who decides where it's going to be. The soul has a position in the brain, back of the brain, but if it helps its physicality, it takes its position in the flat of the shoe of the man. That's why they kiss the foot of the man. Now you understand. I kiss where the soul is, nothing to do with the physicality. Now you know why Pope kisses the foot. Bows to the soul at the level of, not higher than the ground. We are of the same level. So now you know why the shoe shines, spit and shine. You haven't got it yet. It's part of their soul. They give it pleasure. They sit at their height of the table. A pope hasn't reached a shoe polisher's soul yet. Because he does it to live, to happy his soul. He does it to pretend. It's totally different position. Pretense never works. But the shoe polisher does it because he does it with the love to feed his soul and his children. So, the holy man is lower than a shoe polisher, if you understand the meaning of it. So, this is very set. You have all a health system at home. Step by step, we develop the other parts, how to make answers that you can work within the structure of their physicality. And then the colors you've seen, the combinations you've seen, which is inserted inside. So, how far do you need to go to be able to put every man out of the physicality of the pain today? I will tell you one thing. 100% humanity will volunteer. Only 10% will walk with no pain. Because the other 90%, if they do not complain or have pain, they don't exist. Expression of pain and suffering is become a point of gaining attention and stealing energy. Because when I tell you, oh, my leg hurts, you pay attention. You got my attention. I took something from you. You've been to a lot of countries where you see the man with no legs, with two hands between the cars begging for money. And then the minute the policeman comes, the two leg comes out and they run. You see that in Spain, huh? Which one is the truth? Or will you run over a man who's really paralyzed? So, the structure is the simplicity of it in understanding, and you do not need any PhD, and you do not need any masters. And as I always say, there are no doctors, there is no PhDs in the universe. If you knew what a PhD stands for, you would never call yourself a PhD. Don't burn your fuse. One day I will tell you. It doesn't fit in your system, Master Marco. So, if you understood only what is on this board, is one of the only times I have not rubbed off anything I've written. Clearly, you understand how simple the structure of helping man out of the misery of the pain of his soul and his emotion and his physicality is, and they want you 12 years to go to university, and then another 8 years to become a doctor, and then become more narrow-minded, and you become a gynecologist to give birth to a child to suffer. But now, you're a gynecologist for every being in the universe. Plus loan. Oh yeah, if you're American, you got 700,000 loan as well on top of you. Oh my God. No problem. Now tell them you don't need any more loan, but the problem is they will make this illegal, but you don't need it. You got a ping pong ball at home, you got yourself a health system. The law international says you can do anything like within the 4 frames of your house. So nobody can stop you helping yourself. And every man's home is his own castle. So they cannot touch you. Now you know the technology. This workshop, like the workshop of a schizophrenic, will go on the internet for public understanding. Because it's in public, we can release it as part of the teaching too. So not only we open new insight, this takes the shackles of pharmaceuticals out of the hand, that how they have controlled life through stupidity. When I refuse a case, it means I don't have the knowledge, time to do it. Because it takes time, and when I don't have it, I refuse it. But I accept the cases where I know I can give time to learn more about the physicality of the man, that I can help more men. Every day I receive emails. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I showed you with the schizophrenic. I show you the international or universal health system. Don't work to change the physicality. Work to support the soul. The physicality will be helped by itself. So what is going to be the next step? We don't know. How is going to be the next step? We don't know. How much would we understand about this technology to be able to help ourselves? We cannot say so. But in a coming time, the same way as we do now, in the Keshe Foundation structure, we will deliver systems that you can buy, preloaded system. All you need to do is to add your blood to it. Then is your fingerprint. Because once you create a gans of plasma, it'll never dry up. It's constantly the same, and all you need to do is how you want to manipulate it, the way you want to change the structure. How much will it change in the coming months and days? The way people will run away with this and start working. From tomorrow, everybody will be hanging 1 reactor off the ceiling and 3 reactors on the floor. But you have not found the whole solution yet. Am I correct? We have a secret we are not telling you. Actually, it's such a huge secret that it was drawn and written on the back of a bag. What do you call it? A croissant bag. Discussed me in bed, flat, and him sitting on the back of a refrigerator in the hospital. That's how secret it is. It's an edge of science discussed how we can change humanity in a very simple way, because these two have understood the essence and they can play with the essence of the knowledge. In time, a lot of you will do. There are a lot of people around the foundation, around the world, in different ways. They understood different aspects of, and they're developing different technologies with it. So now there was a huge secret for nearly 10 years. What was in a Coca-Cola bottle? It was a huge mystery about the what was it, KF liquid. And for 10, 15 years has been a discussion about these cups we make. Now you've seen inside the cup, but the knowledge is the same as the Coca-Cola bottle. Just what you see is... Yes? Close to what? What? To the guns? The thing is, yes, but the thing is, you have to only work in the gas state of the matter in its elementary condition. This is the fundamental point. And you cannot add other things to it, because if you keep on adding all these OHs and KOHs and the rest, you heavy load one side, then you create new conditions of problem. You have to work, and you can only work with single entities plus a link. Pardon? I give you a hint. A lot of you. Would you like a hint? Would you like a hint? Would you like a hint? He doesn't know. Anyway, he's never here. Go back to the original teachings with it. Even the cameraman knows. There is one common denominator in the structure of the man. Pardon? No, no, you're too cheap, too easy. No. Your brain works through it. Your immune system works through it. Your blood works through it. Every single structure you have works through it, because it's a common link, common denominator. What's that? I will tell you what it is. She's turning around and says, what's that? Pardon? Calcium. Now you got the hint? Yes? You cannot find any of your immune system without the calcium connection. Because when the lymph goes through the bone, with it as a binding has a calcium. And the immune system is the only things which interacts in different strength with every part of your body. So every part of your body has a calcium connection. You go in and look at any immune system which comes through your bone marrow. All your T cells, all your B cells, all your lymphocytes, all of them. Because they go through the bone. This is one of the signatures of a human race. Not the red blood, but the calcium. So, you got a very big hint. If I tell you everything, I can't teach anymore. There are more students. I can go home. And the home is very far from the Zeus. But why I go very slow, that more and more people understand more in depth, that they can build the structure. This time around, it doesn't stay in the hand of this lot and this lot. The doctors of medicine and the doctors of the soul, which are both thieves on both ends. One is called the priest, and one is called doctors. Unfortunately, I come from both ends. One side that way, one side this way. So I'm a very good pirate. I have a very good blood mixture. The Jewish side and the Muslim side. Medicine man on this side for decades, centuries, and bandits from the beginning of the soul of the man. So I'm a good, what do you call it? Insider. we see where we go. We've taken the shackles of the belief and physicality out of the hand of man to abuse the man. Now it depends on man how he buys his own freedom. Not only on this planet, but in the space. How do you use it to the advancement of the human race and not to shackle him down with more abuse? Because if you go back to the structure, it's your energy resources. We've seen what Marco has done today, blowing yesterday the whole building. We've seen you use it for medicine. You're using it for application of your health and your soul. You use it for production of energy. You use it for production of motion. So it's a universal system. There's one piece missing. I've told you many times, but as usual, because you're not understanding it, it just goes over your back of the dock. Do you know what it means? Can you explain what it means, the back of the dock? It says water over the back. The dock never gets wet on its back. Yeah? So it means it's non-absorbent, because it means you don't understand it yet. Because if you absorb the water in, it sinks in. Pardon? Duck. No. A dog. No. Is your American accent or my Iranian pronunciation? But there's a big difference between a duck and a dog. Even though we eat both of them in different races. Sorry about my armor. So, no. I know, I've been to South Korea. I've seen you can go to a shop, you eat the duck, and you go to the other shop, you eat the dog. And it's all both delicious, I presume. So, where do we bring? Now you see how simple everything which we started as a star formation is the essence of the creation in what you want to create. And how you want to change the creation. In the health application, I'm sure if my son sees this, I will not be allowed home because he's a pharmaceutical man. But I warned him, you better leave the job. 2 of my boys will have no jobs, and the third one is already out of job anyway with this technology. So they're all in the pharmaceutical and biological. So you see how things develop, how we go, and how with a little explanation and understanding the simplicity of the structure of life, we can change the whole structure of humanity, which has been set for billions of years due to the lack of knowledge. I hope this knowledge will not be used to harm another man. Otherwise, it will be wasted. If with this technology, with this knowledge, we harm one single soul, it's better not ever to release it. So try to use it to help. Try to use it to develop. Try to understand it, that it can change the course of humanity. This was one of the last parts which was missing. How to save the physicality of the man. And you've seen there is no difference in any dimensions. If you look at the structure of the man, you still have the same system. We gave you the 2 lungs and the heart, and we set your brain on the top to create your soul. So you see where your soul sits. You don't need to look far. Your body operates that way. The whole system works that way. It's just that for instead of moving it, you added legs and feet to yourself. There was no need. Soon you walk without it. You will need no need for digestion system because you absorb energy anyway, the way you like. Because if you feed the soul right, the energy is not needed for physicality. So, where do we go? Zeus? It's crowded, that's why I ran away. And secondly, they only accept Zeusians. They don't accept humans. They cause problems. They go to too many pubs and they drink too much. Or I've been in England for too long. So, but we see how we do, where we go. How we change in a very simple way the structure of humanity. How simply? You have to understand not to force, but allow the soul of the man in the level of emotion is the same as the orange. The same as the onion. The soul has layers, which one of these weakest layers is at the level of the emotion of the man. You have to decide how and where you want to release this, that it brings in the reality, the essence of the change in physicality, not to bring balance into the soul of one, but the soul of the others, which are in the environment of the same soul. And then we have achieved what we came here for. To change in a fundamental way, not only the need of the man, but satisfy the soul of the man, that it has no needs for physicality. You can travel the spans of universe without a UFO. But this takes you another thousands of years, because at the moment you're still looking for a box to travel in, and you call it a UFO, where you already have more energy in the soul of the man to do it without the physicality of the box. So, what would I call it? 425. Are there any questions? No. Thank you very much. We call it a day. You think I'm going to answer Kevin, what do you call it, Davana and all his questions? If there is a single question from him, we stop. At 5 o'clock. He'll be, no, he put that question to the children. It's a bit too complicated for that. Okay, we try to answer a few questions, and we'll see if the questions are simple to answer. Wins, are you still working on the system, or shall I shut it down? Are you still working on the system, or shall I shut it down? Ah, okay. You need to link somehow, somewhere. Oh, you loaded the UFO as well. Thank you very much. Oh, it looks very good. Oh, you don't know what surprise I have for you. When I tell you, you will sack me as a webmaster. Okay. Ah, look, there are no questions. Oh, look, this guy is, look, Kevin Davana, nitrogen. He doesn't want to pay the fee. He's coming, he's sneaking in. He sneaks in the back door. Nitrogen. Now we're going to wait for his next question. Okay, what question? It says, hello, Mr. Keshe. What if the true wish is to die? Would the system kill the user? There is no death. There is no death in the space. It's a change of conversion to another level of a strength. So what you call death is not dying. Is that you as we just say, you want to change your permanent address with the same physicality, not intact, but you carry the soul. So death is a meaningless in the world of the universal creation, because you understand the fields never die, and the fields always work through the same process, the same structure, and they can give, but they cannot disconnect. There is no way that this field even to go to its essence of principle, will finish. Because the minute it finishes, it has already linked with another process of the same. So life is eternal, it's everlasting, but at different levels of the creation. Why are the pyramids so big? When you say the size of the formation does not matter. It's very simple. To man, for something to be effective, has always been the size. As they say, it's the size which counts. So they built big buildings, the big pyramids. The original pyramids are so small, but it was shown to the man to use it. If you look, when you go to the church, have you ever seen a tiny little church like a house you can go into it? Only more or less in what do you call it, Korea. Every big building has a red cross on it, and you know they say there's a church in that house. Somebody's home is a church. But what do? We go to churches because they are big. We are always influenced by the size. You go to government offices, it's big because we don't have homes this big. So because it's big, it must be very important. It's our psychological. That's why we talk about megawatts and gigawatts, and the human body works only in nanoamps and nanowatts. That's why we demean ourselves with the knowledge we have in respect to our creation. So, there is no more question. This is one of the shortest question lists we ever had. Any question here? Oh God, Italians again. Finish.
Yes, finish. When we build a cup for a person, that cup remains the same all the time, or is necessary to change with the time?
Change it according to time. These cups I built, as the system changes, you have to change it. When you build a star formation, you don't need to change. It's permanent. That's the difference. That's why we open the cups, because they're obsolete. The knowledge has come this far that you don't need to do it. For me, I was one man to teach all the details to 100 people, to teach to another 100 people. It would have taken centuries. Now you have the whole knowledge of the health of a man, the universe, in one go. Anybody can try. This is easier to share than doing it that way. But as I said, I had to understand the work of it in physicality on the body of the man, that when I speak from the point of authority and knowledge, not just a theory. I thought the question's finished. Yes?
When you were talking about you would take the blood from an infant so that you could always sort of reprogram back to the state of the infant. My thought was, is if you have an infant that comes in with an illness, you would first balance the system and
why do you think that is the illness? If the soul is happy in that condition, that's how the soul wants to be manifested. Just because it doesn't look right to your eyes doesn't mean there is anything wrong with it.
So if you have a child with a heart condition,
what is that soul to learn from that condition? This is what we men always look on the physical side. What is the process? Because at the end, the whole essence is the elevation of the soul. It does not matter you live 1 second, or you live a lifetime and you take from the elevation of the soul and decreases the soul. Huh? It's the physicality which decides the position and the strength of the soul. We do our best. This is what I say. People who are dying the last days, they come to me and say, can I have a system? I want to live. I said, why? What is in this physicality that you want to take more away from your soul, the way you live? As I always say, the soul of a pope has less position than a child which is just born, because the child has committed no crime, but closes his eyes to the crimes done against the children by raping them. He pays for his soul for what the damage is done by the others because he protects it. I prefer to be the child than having a physical statue that has already lost most of his position as a soul. So we don't dictate the position of the soul. You give an opportunity for the physicality to decide. You're sick. Now it's changed. From today, the position of the life on this planet and beyond to the understanding of the man has changed, because now the truth shall speak. Not the enforced injections, and not somebody who wants to die and you're forced to keep them alive. Because if euthanasia is the wish, it will be carried out. If, in fact, because they can't speak, but you say you want to die, and he shakes his hand because he's fed up being told you're a burden. You see, something which I explained this to a psychologist. A lot of people who want to die, and you come to the front and we see them in public or whatever, we don't spend time in their private time to see what they hear, that people think because they are sick they don't hear. The curses, the pains. When do you die that I'll be free? I have to take care of you all the time. We are not in the house to listen to the husband. We are not in the house to listen to the wife. We are not in the house to listen to the behavior of the others. You see, if you want to do the pain of my heart, be a guest in my house for the night. So we don't understand. It's not from now on your responsibility to touch the physicality. You leave it to the essence of the soul of the man to decide. You want to live a perfect life with the same soul elevated for 1,000 years, you may do. You do not need to have a physicality to be here to serve humanity. This is what the core team does. We don't sit. And what has been the tradition is a prayer time. We meditate. What does it mean? We are very free. We just give to our soul. And it's for the man who feels the need, take from it to elevate the society. We called for this world peace on 21st Peace Day. How many people will follow it? Very few. Next time, a little bit more. Next time, a little bit more. We are not looking, the marches haven't paid, the prayer sessions haven't paid, the gathering on the street hasn't paid. Because it all has been done to touch the physicality. And physicality, you go home, you forget. This time around, we touch the soul. We give our souls as core members to the soul of humanity, and it will change. If you knew how many of these marches are done by the sponsors, nobody will go for a peace. I can tell you a number of revolutions. People have been put on the street, given a card, they stamp the card. If you've done the length and you shouted, at the end of it, you get 2 kilos of sugar and 5 kilos of rice and 2 liters of oil. When you're a hungry family, you get the whole lot out. It's supply of a month. I don't mind walking 10. And whatever you say, I will shout. Most of the revolutions in Middle East has done this way. Financed by CIA, financed by British government. Containers and containers, trucks of food standing in the mosques. You go and march against the government, you get the free sugar, rice and oil. And then we put the BBC there and CNN there is a march. Round the corner they all say, time to eat, boys. We haven't had food for a long time free. There are videos of it. This time around, we don't need marches. Never ask, go on the street. A lot of people, we inform governments, we inform the souls of the people, it's their decision. But in time, Because we have taken this decision to do it this way, because now we understand the essence of it, we give to our soul. Number by number, one by one, we'll add to it. But the time is not in 3 months. The time is December 2016. Because it needs time, the way I taught you, step by step. For months you stood with the GANs, understanding the GANs. From the first day, we start working with the gas reactors, but we still were working with the GANs. More or less from the first week we started the teaching, we start making GANs. It's taken 1.5 years to be here. If I've explained this to you 1.5 years ago, it had no meaning. To mature man to the true peace, it needs time. To change the structure of billions of years of habit, it takes time. It will not be done with the one march down the street, it's a peace day, Keshe Foundation wrote peace map. None of it. I know what it takes, I know what it needs, and I planned it that way to be done. With a bit of care, with a bit of cuddle, with a few kicks in the backside. The kick in the backside will come very soon. We heard nothing from the White House. I called the White House yesterday. Total silence. Very soon, when we announce which aircraft carrier we're going to target on 21st of August, we become a terrorist organization. We are asking for peace. You're calling it a war. They have to respond to us. We don't respond to them. When I announce one of the most advanced Russian aircrafts will be crafted, it'll be the same. I won't choose one nation. Keshe Foundation will choose totality of nations, a number of nations, and there is hundreds of reactors going to be sold. You all be ready for a cold day. And when people understand the governments have no power except to obey the people for the betterment of the people, then they have to understand the mayhem of who wants to be the boss. Don't forget, we go from national governments to mayhem of lordships. Now they want to be the chiefs. We have to still sort out the lordships. And then we come to the bandits and the petty cash thieves. And then when they find out there is nothing for them to eat, we come to this. The process is not going to be easy. Because once we show that the world leaders have no power except to bend toward the peace, and there is no resources for huge defense technology, the bandits around Middle East, in Asia, in Central Europe, there are more terrorists in Europe than anywhere else. They all start trying to become lords, warlords. Those, then we handle them very easy. We handle the governments through the hardware. We handle the bandits through the soul. Why do we have to have drug trafficking? That so many people suffer through the souls. You have a knowledge, you can make the GANs to make the soul, the structure, the field of a soul of a man. Why not to make the GANs of the cocaine or whatever? Where would you like all the cocaine produced? On the moon? Have you seen any Martians, drug addict? You want it? It's yours. We don't touch it, but it's on Mars. If you can get it. Or planet Zeus. They will be addict. But I wonder if cocaine has such a effect in planet Zeus. Every single thing is worked out. We'll achieve it this time. There is no possibilities of going wrong, even if there is a fault of a swimming pool. We can still carry on. Correct? And we still can work on the floor of a hospital bed, because the knowledge knows no barrier and no position. So, what is the last question? When are the cups of life going to be available? Very soon. Pray that the soul of Sohail moves fast. Or we have to make it Italian soul. Health units will be replaced with the star formation reactors. But are the cup of fly remain as cups? Of course they do. Looks like my reactor bleeding. My God, have you seen his reactor? Can somebody show us why is it bleeding? What is the stuff which remains lying on the bottom of the glass vinegar, where egg shell is dissolved in this cans of calcium? Ah, he's a clever guy. You won't get it that way. He's looking for this. Very clever. Which guy is this one? Ah. Where is Jam? Is he German? Which country is he from? Is Jack Hamling. Dutch. Holland. Yeah, I thought so. He's after another green, what do you call it? Green gases, what do you call it? No, pardon? No, you know this movement of selling CO2, trees for global warming? Yeah. It started with the Dutch. It didn't exist until the Dutch thought of it. And it was working for Shell, I think. So it's okay, I'm just pulling your leg. I have to keep my foundation in Holland, so I have to be nice to you. So, can we look at, the organizer?
Mr. Keshe, would you like to see that? Would you like to see that video of the reactor bleeding? That's
bleeding. Yes, why not? And then we call it a day. It's nearly 5 o'clock.
it's about just over 2 minutes here, and I can show it, I believe.
Vince, have you finished with my laptop?
I was trying to do a few more things, but I couldn't find out, and I'm running out of time. So I think I'll leave it where it's at right now.
Shall we leave it to the next time?
Yeah.
Shall we leave it to the next time?
Leave it for the next time. That's right.
Okay, I'll shut it down. I'll let the boys know.
I will tell you though that your wife did have a question, but I don't remember what it is, and I've been working too much to remember.
I managed to shut the computer down. How is she putting questions?
She
Oh, she's bothering you.
couldn't get on, and she didn't know why, and that's why.
Yeah, God help me. And you. Okay, Vince, can you get me there? I have to switch off where I go to come out. Okay, I'll sign out, yeah?
Yeah, you can sign out and just leave it, and I'll close out of this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for your help.
Okay, so let's take a look at that video, Rick. If that's
Okay, I've got it teed up here, and I'll just start playing it.
Hello guys, this is my small star formation, which I just made it, and I put it for nano coating, and it looks like
Sorry.
blinking with the caustic. Actually, we can see how it's dropping now.
Can you restart again, please?
Can you hear the audio there, or no?
Oh, it's muffled.
Yeah, that would be better if you want to do that. If you're the You've got it teed up there. You got the setup. Okay.
Star formation, which I just made it, and I put it for nano coating, and it looks like one of the balls was leaking with the caustic. Actually, we can see how it's dropping now, and I actually would like to make it run, because otherwise it's still gonna drop on the motor. Better it flies away than on the motor. So basically it's touching the iron, and I think this is the standstill. So caustic together with potassium start producing some kind of material which looks like a blood, and it's very interesting. Like when I'm shining with the camera, it's really red. How to get? Let's see. It's interesting here in the reflection, like what comes out and reflects on the paper. You can see the red spots. I don't know how I could find the right angle. So anyways, so it's producing some material which really looks like a blood. So it looks like this reactor bleeds. Okay. So once more, there inside is caustic with potassium. It was being put for nano coating. So it runs for a few days like that. And producing this stuff. Okay, thanks.
Can we have him online? Is it possible?
Yes, let me see if I can unmute him. I don't know if he has a mic. Milan, are you there? I unmuted
It's
you.
Modris, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Sorry. Wrong person.
There
Yes,
we go.
Now I unmuted the right person. It seems to help.
Hi guys, I'm Mr. Keshe.
Hello.
The sound is very bad. I don't know, you will manage to hear me?
Sounds like Armin in the background.
It's a little low, but we can hear you.
Okay. So
Uh,
I just made this morning this clip.
Can I just 1 second, please? Rick, you're totally out of the computer?
I was never in the computer, but Vince, you mean?
Vince, are you out of my computer altogether? Okay, done. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry, you start, please.
Okay. About the reactor, yes. I made this clip just this morning, and yesterday started noticing this material which is the color like blood. So I thought to make the video and share it. So there is inside the caustic and potassium, which I put it to nanocoat by rotating. I injected when it was hot water, and the caustic and potassium I put it before. So I left it for 2 days rotate, and then I start to see this material start with the juice.
Is what is the ball screwed in? Is the metal screw inside?
The screw, I think it's stainless steel, it looks like, from the motor which comes. And then was another thing, like to close the hole, I used the acryl.
Pardon?
So maybe I was using the acryl to close the hole of the ball.
You think what?
Acryl. It's like type of plastic. You mix the liquid with the powder and it becomes solid.
Yeah, but is the reactor open on top or was it closed?
Yes, it's on the top. It's a small hole. Yes, where I was injecting the caustic,
Okay.
the hot water. I mean.
Most probably what you've done, you've gone through the process of producing hemoglobin. With the still inside, in that little hole, extracting amino acid on the top, with the process of the caustic, with what you put in. You have started the process of what happens on the planet Earth. We do not go through the CO2 or anything. I explain what you show us. It's understandable. Go back on the internet. You can find. I explained this before, how it starts. But if you have the connection of the metal and it's in there for a couple of days, is the nano processing of the metal with a gap on the top, most probably extracting CO2. This is a natural process, so most probably you have produced natural hemoglobin. Most probably. And it is the color of the rust in conjunction with the amino acid. We have what is our bucket? We have a bucket, I think is in the back of my car. It's the same color as what you have, color of the blood. Our one does it electronic, so with electrical current, different way. And so you have produced most probably hemoglobin the way it's done in nature, with a small gap. You have extracted the amino acid and you have started the process, but by turning it, you brought the mixture in very rapidly. So most probably it is bleeding. But please test it or send it to us. We have a facility here to get it tested and we'll let you know. Send it to the center and we get it tested and we'll let you know.
Okay, I tried to collect in syringe.
Pardon?
I was trying to collect it with syringe with some distilled water.
Doesn't matter, we just need a drop to get it done. Right? We have
What was it?
University where we can do the analysis.
What was
Drop to do.
Yeah, what was interesting, I didn't know how to make the hemoglobin. Last 2 days I was all the time like kind of wishing and concentrate to find out how to do it. And then it's happened by itself. I mean.
Yes, you created a. But the strange thing is, why is not happening to the other cores? You've got 2 more cores hanging there.
Because they don't leak. I think there is small hole which touch the metal. The rest is with acrylic tightly covered.
The seal?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that one leaked a bit.
Okay, so I think we are pretty sure you reached the natural process but in a faster way. Creating what happened, your caustic has created a nano ion and what do you call it? The caustic with the nano ion has created a condition for production of the GANs of CO2 in a direction where pulls in the amino acid from the environment, or creates the amino acid, and as natural ways, a small container has sunk into the bottom very rapidly and is led to the creation. Partially is the rust and partially is amino acid. This happens as regularly, as I said, in North China. It happens in parts of the South Atlantic as well.
Can I ingest some of drops in reactors?
Pardon?
Can I inject it in reactors, some of the drops of it, or better not yet?
Yes, why not? Try. Let's see if it changes. But the strange thing is, it's only at the bottom, and it doesn't move up to the center.
No, it's a cup. It's just on the cup.
No, it doesn't rise up.
No, it's on the cup because this cup is not liquid. Is not inside in this cup. It's just which hold the motor. The liquid is only in the ball. So it leaks through the bottom and goes to touch the connection to the motor.
Okay, it'll be interesting if you want to send it to us. Well, let me explain something while you're online. The Keshe Foundation, not as a space institute, will be opening, hopefully we announce it fully, and with a new center. We're opening a new center in Italy in the coming days, where all the research will be done, not the teaching. And in that structure, we hopefully have the facilities to bring all the scientists or new developments by everyone in one center. The SSI here stays as a teaching center, but we move to a new location for research and development and a spin-off for the next, in the coming days. If I say it, then it goes wrong, and they say you said it too early. But put it this way, we are hopefully before we finalize the negotiations, and it's a position where people like you can come. We don't send people anymore to China to develop in an isolated condition. So we bring anybody with a new technology, with new understanding, new development here to be with us, to become part of the structure. They can sit in some of the teaching at the same time develop their own technologies too. So we become what we promised, center point, because at the moment we don't see enough knowledge to spread to China and beyond for others. When we build up this proper research center here, we have all the facilities to do, then all the governmental research, everything will come in the one roof in one place. It'll be interesting to test your system or the material you produce. Oh, I can see the stitches on my head. I'm the Martian, been reached through the back on the top of the head. Okay, we call it the day if it's okay, and we get ready for the children program. There are no more questions as I see, I hope, or I decided to be blind to it. I have to open it. Marco, don't.
There was a question in the live stream. Maybe
have a teaching center. You don't need to teach. I give you freedom. You can teach when you like. Don't burn the place down.
there was a question in the live stream, Mr. Keshe.
Okay. There is no questions there. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully, Vince, if we can have this session recorded the same to be loaded on the internet, on the Keshe YouTube. Thank you very much for the job you've done. It's beautiful. But the YouTube needed a lot of updating, and thanks for doing it. Destiny says you don't want to go yet? You want to go up? We gotta wait. Thank you very much. I'm going to close this session of the health teachings for this week. But please join us on Thursday, because there is another addition to the knowledge we have taught here in the teaching of the Institute. But we would like to share the knowledge with you this week in respect to structure of the planet Earth, that we open another door in the line of understanding the structure. Thank you very much. We can't hear you. No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
We can't hear them. Hello, they're left. They're finished. We can't hear them.
Yes.
Okay,
I think it comes through. Okay, good. Well, we can end the workshop. There was one question in the live stream, but maybe we can put it off to the kids workshop.
No problem. I hope it's not from Kevin Davina.
No, it's from Neil Warren from Pacific Buddha in California.
Pacific Buddha.
Yeah, that's his company or outfit that he's
Buddha is
with.
everywhere. Buddha, na Buddha. Okay, we'll wait for that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Vic. Thanks, Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and that ends the.
To the children.
Yeah, we'll start the children's workshop shortly, I believe.
Okay, we wait for you. Thanks very much. Thank all of you.
Okay. And that ends the 34th Health Teaching Workshop. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you.